Welcome to part 2 of episode 5 of the Food Court by DSG. I'm your host, Michelle Wollenzien, and I'm back with Rochelle Serrano, returning as my guest. Hello, Rochelle.
Hi, thank you.
I received feedback from many of you asking us to dig deeper into some of the soft skills or pivotal skills that were mentioned in part 1 of episode 5. And just know you were heard. So today, we'll dig into a couple of those soft skills, speaking to people's listening, how to communicate tough decisions or messages. And if we have time, we're going to also talk about making connections and networking to drive initiatives and to get those desired results. If you haven't followed the Food Court by DSG on YouTube, please take a moment to subscribe so that you can receive notifications when new episodes are posted. Welcome back, Rochelle. I'm thrilled to have you back as a guest. Thank you for being here.
Thank
Let's
you
go
for having
ahead.
me.
Oh, I'm happy you're here. Let's go ahead and dive in. So, during part 1 of episode 5, we discussed pivotal skills are as important as technical skills, right? So,
Absolutely.
let's start off with speaking to people's listenings. That was one of the soft skills that you brought up
hmm
in our previous episode. And what does that mean? What does that terminology mean?
Well, that quote was not coined by me or us. It was actually something I learned when I work at HEB. And to give an idea what it means, let's assume that I speak a different language from you. I'm going to pick Russian and you pick French. When I talk to you, I'm talking to you in Russian, and when you respond to me, you respond to me in French. We're
Mhm.
communicating actually, but not very effectively, if any, right? We can't comprehend what we both are trying to do. So the concept of speaking to people's listening is for you, the individual who's driving the narrative or providing the information, is for you to adopt a language that will be understood by the listener. So if you think about the two different languages that we spoke about earlier, French and Russian, there's nothing in common with those two languages. And the same can be said when somebody from QA is going to speak or have a presentation with leaders of a company to provide information about KPIs or food safety KPIs. If you strictly talk about the KPIs and you strictly talk about the lingo of the regulatory world,
Mhm.
right? So you are going to lose people in that conversation. And ultimately, they are not going to understand the message that you're trying to convey to them. And the best way for you to do that is find a common language. Layman's terms, some people refer to it. Break it down. If I was a 5-year old, you really want to drive the information in such a way that is like almost bullets that you're providing to this information to these individuals. You want to know what's at risk, what do you need support from them, and what is the outcome? Very simple. You don't need to elaborate. You don't need to provide a bunch of information that may be trivial to the decision makers. You can all provide that information, whether it's via email with more context or via presentation. But to sum it up, what you want to know, what is the opportunity that you're facing? What do you need from them, and what is the outcome? And also, I would add, what could happen if we don't get to do this?
Mm.
There's always some consequences,
Yeah.
but something that we need to understand as we're speaking to business leaders, understand we're not business speakers, but we're speaking to business leaders. We have to write, do we have to express it in a way that shows the risk, the consequences, and what are the opportunities and the actually decisions that can be taken and supported by this business leader for you and the company to avoid the circumstances you're trying to avoid.
So, can I add? And I agree with you. I think there's something that we can also add in there. Some people are better at their auditory, right? And that's how
hmm
they learn information,
hmm
or their visual.
hmm
So, understanding who your audience is and how they like to receive that information is also very helpful, whether it's charts or just simple. I've mentioned this before. I spoke to a very high level leader, and presenting data to that leader was in red, yellow, and green,
Hmm.
right? And so that visual was a quick at a glance. We know what red means
Yes.
in any
Danger.
language, right? Danger. Right. And yellow is, whoa, Nelly, we're getting to danger.
Right.
And green means, proceed. So I think, what you're saying, and also just adding to that, understanding how the audience, um, prefers to receive that information. And again, as we mentioned in our last episode, sometimes you have to relay that information in various
In
ways.
different ways, that is
So,
correct,
yeah.
absolutely. And one of the ways that you learn how to approach individual is if your company, for instance, relies on Myers-Briggs analyses,
Mm,
and those analyses will provide you how these individuals as leaders show up into the business, and that will provide you a lot of data points that you can use. You can actually trying to learn whether these individuals are extroverted or introverted. That
right.
also helps you how to accommodate and package the message in a way that will be understood and received. You could have individuals who just like the bottom line information, and they don't need the details. The more you understand your audience, the more you understand what are the critical items that they need in order to support you, the more effective that communication will become for you, and ultimately potentially has the way of transforming the way you do businesses within that organization. Because once they understand you, they can support you and your success rate increments, it increases.
So that's really an ability to influence
Yes.
when you can speak to your audience. So, for people who have to get in front of a group and present, which, boy, I had to present data all the time, and sometimes it was dreaded,
Hmm.
dreaded data.
Hmm.
But over time, I learned how to communicate that to where people didn't want to get up and take a coffee break, when I was in the front, because I was delivering. Sometimes it was bad news and sometimes it was good news, but I knew that I wasn't really getting the message across. So I had to learn how to capture multiple leaders' attention
Hmm.
and gain their buy-in. And as you said, what is my message? What is the outcome? What are the
Hmm.
consequences? What are we what are we working towards? And what does that look like? So when you do communicate, it's also providing options for solutions as well,
Absolutely,
right?
absolutely. And one
No,
of the exercises that I deem the most important for quality is cost of quality.
mhm,
And why conducting an exercise of cost of quality is pivotal for companies is because it talks bottom line money. It tells them how much quality is costing them, right?
right.
And there's a good cost of quality and there's a bad cost of quality. And if you can really explain and navigate that territory in a way that clearly states what is being lost in regards to revenue, that's even more impactful. You can even show that information to a financial individual and they automatically will understand what's at stake. And the next question will be, how do we resolve it? Which is what ultimately you're looking for. That's what you want as a leader, for as a quality leader, to be receiving from the business leaders. How do we help you with this? But it's all lays on you. You have to be able to communicate it in a way that these individuals can really get behind it. And it's difficult. You have to learn it. It's a dance, as we spoke in reference last time we spoke, but it's very doable. And anybody in the technical field can learn how to do this.
So I'm going to change it up because I said if we have time, we'll talk about making connections and networking to drive initiatives. I think this is probably a great segue into it because it does come to when you are um, talking to leaders and you are influencing them, you really have to build allies. So,
Hmm.
um, one of my allies at one of my previous jobs was, or companies, was become very close with the financial chief financial officer, right? And understand where the priorities are,
Hmm. Hmm.
understand that financial language,
Hmm.
what's driving the business,
Hmm.
and then I am allowed to provide what my priorities are and how can we work that in and come up with a solution that isn't, it's not exhausting the budget, it's
Hmm.
it's not straining it, and
Hmm.
it's also improving the operations and the efficiency.
Hmm.
So having that financial person in your corner and then asking for their advice,
Hmm.
what's the best way to communicate this, but in, of course, my own style, right?
Right.
And then it's talking to the maintenance people, the continuous improvement folks that are focusing on labor hours.
Hmm.
So making those connections. So let's talk about how important it is to make those connections within the company.
Absolutely. Michelle, when I graduated from college, I thought, and I don't think it was stated this way, but I thought I understood and walked away from it thinking all I need to succeed in life is my degree, my knowledge, and my experience. And to a certain extent, I believe that's still true. Now, as you go through the progress of your career, those attributes, your knowledge, your degree, your expertise, will take you as far as they can. And then really relies on you to create and establish relationships. And why is that critical? Is because the more people you can gather in your corner that get behind the ideas and that share the common knowledge of the company to be successful. Because at the end of the day, a food company here is here to make money.
Yes.
Bottom line, that is a reality. We are here to make money, and you are a better leader when you're helping that plant to make money. That's what makes it really go around. So if you learn that, if you understand that you are a contributor for that plant to be successful, how do you get people behind to make more money? Whether it's avoiding quality issues, whether it's avoiding food safety issues, whether it's improving the efficiency of how the line is running, whether it's challenging your own stated policy, quality policies, there's always an opportunity to make it better and to raise that bar. And we used to talk about raising the bar. Every year, we raise our standards
Yeah.
every single year. Why? Because people love challenges. People like to compete. People like to have a goal in mind to go after it. But if that goal is not attainable, if you guys don't band together, and the best way to band together is to find commonalities among you guys and the team leaders to get behind it. And quality is one of the biggest ones.
Hmm.
Now, in quality, there's two areas that every quality leader needs to learn how to separate. One is food safety, and the other
Right.
one is the quality one. When it comes to food safety, we should have less flexibility in food safety than with quality. Quality provides the biggest arena for you to really improve because you have ranges.
Hmm.
And food safety is yes or no, pretty
Right.
much.
Right.
Quality is quite different. It gives you the opportunity for you to decide what to do and at what level you can execute it. We tend to say that if you want 100% quality, that's almost unattainable because there's a cost associated with having 100% quality, right? So
Yep.
if you already understand what is the expectation, now you can start driving that conversation with the sales team. You can drive that conversation with the R&D team. You can drive the conversation with the operations team, letting them know our standard is 98 We have some wiggle room. How do we band together to make this work?
Right.
And those are the type of conversations that nobody told you when you started your job, that you needed to be able to communicate with people effectively, to create networks, to strengthen your network. And when I mean network, I don't only speak about the people in your organization.
Right.
I also mean about the LinkedIn network, the outside network. You need those as well. Chances are that they all have handled the same thing you're probably trying to tackle. So the more you create that network, the better experience and outcomes you get, the more people that get behind it. It makes it easier all around. It's not only for you, but for the rest of the organization as well.
And let's not forget our external partners, such as our solution
Vendors,
providers. Yes, vendors.
vendors,
I mean,
suppliers,
you know,
absolutely.
they've been through it
Yes.
with somebody,
Yes.
and they have a solution. And when it comes time for a rollout or a launch, they are great to partner with, because they're regional,
Mm-hmm.
and they have their expertise, and
Mm-hmm.
they can be on site. And so being able, be friendly with your vendors and your suppliers.
Mm-hmm.
They are the best resource when you have a large region or several regions that you need um, to communicate and train and launch. So great points.
Absolutely.
um, so when we're talking about making those connections, though, right? So we're saying, yes, you need to make those connections, but how do you start making a connection with someone? Like, let's really dig into what that looks like.
Mm-hmm.
And um, especially when some are introverts and some are
Mm-hmm.
extroverts. So
Mm-hmm.
it's not like you're gonna, kick around in the break room or wherever and start with the small talk. Or, how do you start that?
Look, Michelle, for me, it has been a progression and a beautiful learning experience. You make the connections when you don't need the connections. Let's start
Right.
from there. Don't
Hmm.
wait till you need somebody to start creating a connection. It's going to make it really difficult and it makes it really transactional. This connection, the ones that I'm speaking about, you have to be intentional about it. And you're going to have to put your time and effort to get to know individuals because let's face it, not everybody is as open as you wish to create these connections.
Right.
Therefore, you are going to first, what I would tell individuals who are starting in their careers or are trying to establish who their network is, identify those individuals that you typically are involved in meetings, whether it's ops, sales, R&D, um, vendor
IT.
suppliers, IT, all of those, even HR. HR is
Yes,
a great asset to bring into your meetings. The
absolutely.
sanitation as well, right? Maintenance, all those individuals. Start creating conversations with them. Go to their offices. Put time in their create a one-on-one for these individuals and you to start having meetings. It doesn't have to be every week. It could be once a month. It could be every 2 weeks. And you are intentional about this meeting and you come up with an agenda of what you want to find out about this person.
Hmm.
Don't abuse people's time. People are busy. But if you come with an agenda, you drop an invite and you say, here are the 3 topics I want to talk to you. Here's the 2 topics, the 1 topic that I want to talk to you. I want to get to know you. I want to know what are your challenges. I want to find out if there's some collaboration. What can I do to make your life easier? Those are the type of questions that you have to come up with. If you can come up with any of those, try to find some common denominators. Maybe that person is a sports fanatic. Maybe that person likes golfing. Maybe that person likes horses. Try to be invested in those hobbies, in those likes, in those inputs,
Hmm.
that information that they have. That will ultimately drive how deep you get into the conversation and how ultimately how deep you get into this relationship. Be the human first, right? And
Yep.
like I said before at the beginning, you create the connection when you don't need the connection. So it's honest, genuine, and you're really interested for the human. And once you have that connection, then you can continue to bring topics about work. Hey, I got this. What's your opinion? I'm facing this. I wonder whether you have any experience about this that you can share with me. I got this scenario that occurred yesterday. Have you ever seen something like it?
Hmm.
Those are the conversations that really come to the play that you're genuinely interested in hear somebody else's input.
I found also asking if I could just sit in for one of their department meetings every so often, just so I could, again, understand what their challenges are, what's driving them to make the decisions that they do. And and then from there, when I started learning, then I would come in and, invite myself as a uh, guest with an agenda,
Mm-hmm.
start offering solutions
Mm-hmm.
and also some basic food safety training. For example, facility maintenance. You know what happens? They get overloaded. And
Mm-hmm.
if they're not trained in risk, how do they prioritize all of the calls that they get, right? And so by partnering with them, first understanding their part of the business and then offering solutions, and then let's talk about prioritizing. Everybody thinks everything's urgent. When you put in a work
Mm-hmm.
order, we know how it is. Everything's 911, red lights. And so for them, it's very frustrating. So
Mm-hmm.
being that sounding board saying, hey, um, you know, th- uh, this rack is not as important as this food contact surface. So let's talk about what that looks like.
And I love what you're mentioning, Michelle, because it really sets up the conversation for you to become an asset to this individual to kind of
Yes.
prioritize what they need to be doing, right? In my past, I have worked with QA leaders who everything was a 911, everything was on fire. And you know what they say, when everything is urgent, nothing is urgent because everything has
Right.
lost the power, right? So when you start your conversation by saying, "Hey, I know you have a lot in your to-do list as a PM maintenance individual. Let me help you prioritizing what's really critical in food safety and quality that's going to move that needle faster." Now you have become an asset for that individual. And then listen to what happens afterwards. When something comes up that is conflicting, that person is going to come to you because you build that trust already and that honesty. And that person is going to say, "Hey, Michelle, I got these two things in your world. Which one of the two that we have right now is the most important for us, and which one will give us the most bang for the buck?"
Yes.
That starts way back then when you took an interest on how do you make your life, this individual's life, better, easier. How do you prioritize it so this person doesn't get burned out because of the priorities conflicting? You have to be intentional, otherwise people are not going to buy into it. We're too busy.
Right.
But if I see that you have a honest desire to help and to help us, the worth of that is invaluable, and ultimately it's going to benefit the organization.
I remember there was no better feeling, nothing more rewarding than getting invited to look at equipment, the design of the equipment, to see if this was something that we could use, and to actually, go to the manufacturer with
Hmm.
the design team,
Hmm.
um, with everybody, and be a part of that. And that's just an example of working upstream
Hmm. Hmm.
together
Hmm.
collaboratively
Hmm.
instead of being that person at the end that says, "Oh, wait a minute, that's
We
not
can do it. We can do it,
do
right?
it." So building those relationships, like you said, sooner than
Hmm.
later,
Hmm.
it really does pay off. And
Absolutely.
yeah,
Absolutely.
yep, that's great. Thank you for really digging into that. Okay, so we've had some good stuff. Now let's talk about delivering tough messages and having to make tough decisions and communicate those tough decisions. Let's
Yeah,
talk about.
this is a topic of conversation that is often spoken about, and very seldom people learn a dedicated time to master it. This can break or make or break a relationship really fast. There's nothing better than delivering bad news to somebody to really damage everything you have worked for. Therefore, it takes some trick. And often I used to, actually, when I started my career, I started thinking the least I talk about it, the least is will really be a reality, and it hopes to solve itself. But you and I know that nothing gets done unless you tackle it.
Right.
So coming foot forward, knowing that you have to address the situation, it doesn't have to be backward. So let's say whether you are trying to deliver a bad news to an individual, and as a bad news, we can use example, since in the industry there's a lot of people getting laid off at this moment, we can use that topic to deliver that information, right? So
Okay.
Michelle, are you ready to play a little bit of role play with
Uh,
me?
I'm ready. Am I
Okay.
laying you off?
No, I'm laying you off.
Okay. I'm ready. Wouldn't
All
be my
right.
first time. No, I'm
All
joking.
right. So typically, what you want to do is you want to bring this person to your office at a good time. Either I'll do it in the mornings, so I can let that person go as I need to, or I'll do it at the end of the day to give them the benefit and the grace that they deserve. Because you don't want people watching this person leave at noon or middle of the day. So you really want to put yourself in this individual's shoes. And the second thing is you invite them to the office and you say, you're going to address it in this way. So this is where I need you. All right.
Okay.
So you came into my office. I'm
Okay.
gonna I'm going to give you this news, and here's how we start. Michelle, thank you so much for joining me today. As you know, we have been talking about diminishing some roles or eliminating some roles, and unfortunately, your role came to our attention. That is one of the roles that we need to eliminate. Um, this is not a reflection on your work. You have done extraordinary work for us. So I'm trying to let you know that I value what you have done for us. The second thing that I wanted to let you know is the opportunities that I'm bringing, that is not, they're not going to eliminate completely the consequence of you not having a job, but it's going to provide you resources. First of all, before you go this route, you need to talk to HR to make sure all of these things are planned by HR, because oftentimes the elimination of roles is a consciously decision made with the department and HR. This is
Mhm.
not a vacuum. So you may want to have a representative with HR there with you so they can answer some of the questions. And the other thing that you want to do is, if HR approved it, we're offering a severance package that will help you for X amount of days. In addition to that, I have assigned a coach to you, Michelle, that will review your resume and
Mhm.
will coach you through this transition to ensure that there are other opportunities and you're ready for those opportunities as they may come. The other thing that I would offer to you, Michelle, or any individual who's going through these tough, difficult times is I compromise, or I commit to go through my network and see if I know of anybody who can help you out or has a position open.
Hmm.
Those are the things that I would do to alleviate the circumstances and ensure that it has nothing to do with your um, results, your job results. In this case, many of them, they have been, the economy is not doing as it needs to. Plants are slimming down. They're using AI as a reasoning behind it. Maybe AI, maybe not. We don't know yet. But I
Mhm.
will try to give you as much information as possible so you understand how this decision was driven and how do we came to this decision. To me, that's important, making you feel valued, seen, and that we really took it in consideration.
So, uh, I accept your severance offer. Uh, but I think what's also is important is how you treat that employee before it's ever a conversation or even considered a layoff. Because being in a layoff being involved in a layoff can be it can feel personal
Hmm.
depending on how that leader has treated,
Handle then.
right?
Absolutely.
And
Absolutely.
so a layoff really isn't a reflection of your work. So when you said this isn't, a reflection of you or the work that you've done, a lot of people sitting in the position of the person being laid off are rolling their eyes in their head saying, well, then why am I getting laid off? But it really should be, if you have been treated well and with respect leading up
Hmm.
to that,
Hmm.
then you understand it's not personal.
It is not personal.
Right.
Absolutely.
So
Absolutely.
for the leaders, it's important to be consistent and transparent with your employees. So when you do have those tough conversations, if you're being laid off because your performance is lacking, that should not be a surprise either,
It should not be, because you're
right?
supposed to be meeting at least with your direct reports. I met with my direct reports at least once a week.
Right.
And that's the opportunity for you to say, hey, I noticed this. Can you explain this behavior? Can you explain this outcome? Give that an individual the opportunity to really say, look, I fell here. I didn't do my part, or didn't result like I expected to. Those are the conversations. And to me, give the opportunity to fail at work. To me, having opportunities when individuals fail or make mistakes are the best growing opportunities you can have. And you should never penalize individuals for those things, right?
True.
So if you meet with your leaders and your supervisors at least once a week, nothing should be a surprise, because that's your opportunity to have an open dialogue and really talk about your progress, your challenges, opportunities, and how others seeing you and how other leaders see you. That is that space for feedback, and it should be used for that wisely. It should not be a new surprise to you that they're laying you off because of your lack of whatever. That should
Right.
never happen.
Right. And I really love that you said it's okay if your employee makes a mistake or fails at something, because everybody's going to fail at something, but it's how you recover from it and,
Yes,
grow from that.
yes.
Yes.
There was a slogan that one of my old CEOs used to say, to the point that we made signs of them. And I have a sign here in the office says, "Progress over perfection."
Mm,
So when you adopt that slogan, you understand and you
mm,
give the room for those individuals to make mistakes, because perfection doesn't exist.
no.
So when you start the communication wide, like, we're not looking for perfection in here. We know that there's going to be opportunities, right? Now you're opening the arena for individuals to really excel and grow from those opportunities, and do it comfortably without feeling the punishment of being um, having consequences. So that's why I'm saying, when you if there's something that happened that it's actually making that company lay you off, it shouldn't be a surprise. That's all documented.
And I would see it's a red flag if you are not able to at least get in bi-weekly or once a month one-on-one time with your leader, because that is your opportunity to exchange information, provide feedback. And without that quality time, there is no transparency, and that's where surprises do come up, right? And so, as an employee, I would say push for that one-on-one. Leaders are busy, but they're your leaders, and they're there to support you in your role.
Yeah, absolutely. The one-on-ones are not driven by your leader. The one-on-ones are driven by the individual.
Yes.
You are the one who approach your leader and says, "Hey, I'm putting something in in your calendar at a specified frequency. I want to spend time with you and understand what are your needs. How can I become better individual for you?
Yes,
So don't expect the leader to drive those conversations. That has to be born from you.
it does. And be diligent. If they keep
Absolutely.
if they keep canceling, you just keep at it and make sure that you have a good solid agenda where it's not a time waster. It's not just getting in, small talk. I mean, this is your time to take care of business with your leader.
Look, this is the opportunity. I agree 100%. That time between you and your leader is not optional. That is the time for you to become your best advocate.
Mhm.
A job, an opportunity, a promotion isn't going to come to you. You're going to have to go seek it. And
Right.
those are the opportunities for you to, when you meet with your leader, to really go after here's what I want to do in my 3 years. Here's where the training that I want. These are the certifications that we need. Here are the projects that we need to do in order to drive this bar higher from what it is. This is for you. That meeting is not for your leader, it's for you. So
Right.
this is where you start advocating for you. If you don't do that, nobody's going to advocate for you,
That's true.
right?
Yep. All right, let's move to our second scenario.
All right, this is a scenario in which you can communicate effectively, and individuals are already coming to your boss saying, "Hey, this individual is not executing or communicating, or whatever the issues that they're bringing you." How I typically have handled that in the past, I like to use 360s reviews,
Mm-hmm.
and I typically do it once a year or every 6 months as needed. And this is where I reach out to the network of this individual that I'm trying to coach and mentor to get a really 360-degree view of everybody and how they work with this person. And let's say, for opportunity's sake, that this individual has had not good feedback
Mm-hmm.
from peers. Well, I gather the information, but I also gather examples. There's nothing worse for me seeing an individual trying to deliver some difficult news without having context to it. You're going to leave This individual is going to leave lost in this conversation, so you need to have examples of how this individual came across in the fashion that you're trying to discuss. You need results for the 360. So then you bring the individual and you say, "Hey, I believe in you, and I seen things in you that are great, and I seen things in you that need a bit of more tweaking.
Mm.
I want to invest in you because I believe in you so highly. I want to invest in you. Are you game? Are you interested in these areas of opportunity that I have seen that ultimately will really open doors for you, whether here or somewhere else, but they will."
Mm-hmm.
And if the person is really receptive, I'm like, "Okay, I already have a plan. I have assigned mentors for you. Here are the coachings and areas that I deem that are more needed in order for your level of managerial," right? There's different levels that you want individuals to be acting and working on. And based on this levels that I want you to be competencies that I want you to be executing, here are the opportunities that I've seen. Here are the places where we can grab these opportunities. Here's the plan. Here's how long it should take you. Here are the mentors that I'm assigning you. Those are the things that I initially will do, but for an individual who is either stuck or I found through the network that is not performing as intended,
Mm-hmm.
I want to invest. I want to open it as an opportunity for improvement, but I also want to hear the feedback. How is this information landing on you?
Mm.
Because chances are that this person might not be in a know that these things are
Right.
happening behind, right?
Right.
And the other thing is, I want to limit the exposure. Let's
Mm.
say it's somebody else telling me information, and I had this in the past. So what I did, I limit the exposure of that individual. I said, from now on, let's focus in three things. Because if you overwhelm them with a list of 20 things they need to do, guess what? It's not going to happen. So
Right.
I want them to work in the top three that I deem are necessary. And so we break them down, we give them goals, we let them know what good looks like and what bad looks like. Because they need to know if they're inching towards a good way or if they're recessing back to a negative way. Those are the things that I want to provide for this individual. And then I want to make sure they have the tools, the training, and the disposition to get this done.
Mhm.
And now is a work between this individual and I to grow together. And that 360 will be done at some point so I can ascertain whether some of the improvements that we implemented have been taking place. Typically, people will start coming to you and say, "Hey, I saw so and so in a meeting. He killed it." Or, "Hey, I saw so and so in another meeting. She delivered fantastically."
Yep.
Those are the feedbacks that I'm looking at my level to really ascertain if that person is really improving as they need to. Because
Yes.
you know what? The perception of others is critical. They are the ones who will speak about you in your favor or against you and ultimately can impact your career.
Yes, I agree. I know when I was green, um, when I was starting out or a few years into my role, at that time, my exposure, instead of being limited, was I'm going to meet every department, every leader in every region, and um, it was more exposure, right?
Mm,
But that's how I learned, and that's how I started gaining credibility and getting my name out there. So, um, for you, it was limiting the exposure.
hmm
On my end, I was gaining exposure, which ultimately helped. I still had to learn how to navigate in those meetings,
hmm
make those connections, all of that. And that took time. So it wasn't just a huge success right off the bat, but it
hmm
was first getting out there and having that exposure. So, yeah.
I know that the impact of creating those network. I was at a job a couple years ago in which every night, every single night, Michelle, I went out with a leader
Hmm.
for dinner, sometimes drinks.
Hmm.
And did it consume a lot of my time? Absolutely. Was it draining? Oh, you have no idea.
Hmm.
But up to this day, that's where I created the most impactful relationships. And the reason why? Because I was very intentional. Every time I came into town, I decided and I was very selective in who I met and spent time with. Not everybody deserves your time. Not everybody deserves your energy. But really planned out who I needed to meet, who I knew, who I didn't know, and put invites in their calendars and drop by. And sometimes they didn't have the time. I took them walking. Hey, do you have 5 minutes? Let's walk together. And it happens that this job had a walking trail right in front of the building with
Yeah.
trees, beautiful, beautiful trail. So oftentimes we held meetings walking, just connecting.
Hmm.
And to me, up to this day, those connections that were created at that job were so impactful that up to this day, we still connect.
Of course. Of course. They're not just, I mean, they're professional connections, but those connections stay with you,
Yeah,
and and they serve beyond that role at that company at that time.
yeah, absolutely. And they say, it's not what you say, is that how you make them feel.
Mm,
So I make sure that when I was there at that time, my intention was completely for that individual. I didn't take calls. I didn't carry my phone with me. I wasn't looking at my phone. It was just getting to know that person and walking with that person if he was walking, just to get to know them and talk about work, right? But also talk about personal things.
hmm.
To
Yep.
me, it feels too transactional when everything is about work.
Yes.
And I cannot reemphasize you need to establish them before you need them. Once you need them, people will smell that you're looking for something,
I agree.
right?
Yes. Yes. And really, when we talk about food safety, um, we're always looking at preventative, being proactive. So why would we change that in how we build relationships and make connections?
Yeah, absolutely. If look, sales, QA always complains about sales. Sales thinks we can do whatever. They don't understand there's regulations, there's rules, there's things out there. Spend time with sales. Get to
Hmm.
know with them. One of the things that I love about in HEB, and I don't know if you remember, we used to take leaders to do audits with us, food
Yes.
safety audits.
Yes, I had Stephen Butt.
And that was impactful. I remember I had the VP of Ops crawling with a flashlight with me. Up to this day, he was the one always telling our leader, hey, Rochelle got me crawling, looking for whatever, right? To spend the time to educate him in your area, but also be interested in their areas. You have no idea how much people get excited when people come honestly asking them, "What do you do, and how do you do it, and what are the things that you like about your job versus what are the things you don't like so much about?" That type of connection, I cannot overemphasize how critical it is for your success. Your success.
Well, and I think you just hit on something there. When those leaders are getting out of their offices and they are making those connections with the people who are executing the work,
Hmm.
from the people who create the ideas, the products, everything up here, that's how you make those connections. Getting
Yes.
out from behind your desk
Yes.
and standing, looking at whatever ideas were created in an office. Let's see what that looks like, what that feels like, and what
Hmm.
employees have to say about it. It goes a long
Hmm.
way. It really
Yeah,
does.
absolutely. Sometimes you know what? Even the best ideas that were created in offices that you don't even attend, in meetings that you don't even attend, sometimes when you deliver them in the floor, they just don't work as expected.
Right.
Right? Because you don't know what you don't know. There's maybe a different outcome. Well,
Right.
how impactful would it be if you bring those individuals and say, help me understand how you guys arrived to this decision? Let's do it together and see
Yeah.
how does it work. And if it doesn't work, let's find out a place or if in a situation in which we can improve it. That collaborative effort carries you through. I keep emphasizing if you are the individual who thinks you can do everything on your own, you're sadly mistaken.
Oof.
You can. There's a community, and that's the word that I love to say. But the reality is, in at work, you depend from your peers. You depend from the people who works for you. You depend from the people who leads you. It's a community. You cannot be successful on your own and by yourself. You can't.
You're right. Absolutely. Rochelle, this was great. Thank you. I'm glad that again, the feedback that I received was, how about digging a little bit deeper into some of those skills, so that some of our younger folks and some of our leaders can better understand what we're talking about. You and I, we touched the surface, we scratched it, but this was great. I think hopefully that I'll hear some more positive feedback from this. And if you haven't watched the first episode, you can find it either on LinkedIn or you can find it on YouTube. And of course, the link will be included for this once we have gone through our edits and we have it posted on YouTube. So I look forward to sharing this episode with everyone. And thank you again, Rochelle, so much for participating and agreeing to part two.
Well, thank you for having me back, Michelle. It was
Yeah,
been a pleasure.
absolutely. Take care.